From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
A new chicken wing eating champion is crowned.
I'm so shocked right now.
See the contest that had a finger-licking finish. How much are you willing to pay to go through the Panama Canal? That's what officials are finding out as lines continue to grow. And next year could be a record breaker when it comes to shipping ag products.
Due to some of the weaker outlook from soybeans, dairy, and beef.
But not for the U.S. The latest ag import-export snapshot right now on AgDay.
AgDay, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when the name on the cap matches the power of one's purpose. Pioneer, what's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. What could the U.S. ag export picture look like for next year? Forecasters are predicting that while exports will drop, we could see a surge in ag imports. USDA projecting ag exports to be $172 billion next year. The green line on this graphic, that's down $5.5 billion from this year's revised forecast. Now, economists say that's largely due to lower exports of soybeans, soybean meal, and dairy products. Now, take a look at imports. They're forecast to be $199.5 billion. That would be a record and $3 billion higher than this year. Now, they say that's due to higher imports of horticultural and livestock products, along with stabilizing global prices. But they say they're mainly non-competitive products.
Import of products like bananas, pineapples, mangoes, coffee, tropical zone products that we don't produce really here in the U.S. And we also have a lot of counter-seasonal type of products we import that sort of complement our own growing cycles. Think of things like blueberries. There's a lot of processed foods mixed in here too, including alcoholic beverages, which do encompass a big part of our imports. Think of things like tequila.
When it comes to exports, China is expected to remain our largest market in 2024, with ag exports to the country forecast at $30 billion. Now that's down $3 billion from this year.
Due to some of the weaker outlook from soybeans, dairy, and beef. We're forecasting Mexico $28.2 billion and Canada $27.5 billion.
USDA economists are predicting lower levels of ag exports are projected for all major markets in 2024. Higher elevations, getting some moisture in the southwest at the Snowbird Ski Resort in Utah. People got to see the first snow of the season. The snow coming as a surprise for people attending an Oktoberfest celebration there. But don't grab the skis just yet. There isn't enough snow for ski resorts to start opening up hills just yet. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht joins us. And Matt, the sweltering heat is persisting across many parts of the country.
Yeah, we're talking about extreme heat popping up across the United States, but it's not going to fill in for an extended period of time for a large portion of the United States. You go back 2 weeks ago, that was a ridge of high pressure that just dominated the United States. Here's a look at the temperature forecast. Now, there are going to be some pockets of some hot air as we go through the afternoon, but check out as we go into the next couple of days. So by tomorrow morning, start to see the 50s showing up back up here towards the northwest, and that'll continue to drive down here to the south and even into the southeast. So by tomorrow afternoon, rather than talking about temperatures in the 90s across a good portion of the United States, that's going to be isolated to the triple digits into Texas, as well as back here into portions of the Carolinas and the southeast. You come back here towards the Midwest, seeing more of the 80s, if not some cooler temperatures that are going to be welcomed going into the weekend. Go ahead and look at your screen here, and if those temperatures didn't cool you down or get into the fall mood, this picture certainly will. Now we got fall pumpkins. Sarah and Lisa sending this photo in, taken in Illinois. Sarah says the crop is coming along well, and they'll soon be coming to a retailer near you, or you can just get out there and pick them yourself. I'll have more on your forecast as we pick up that jet stream. Details coming up in just a bit.
Russia is saying no to a renewed Black Sea grain deal, at least for now. Russian President Vladimir Putin saying the deal won't be restored until the West meets Moscow's demands on its own agricultural exports. Putin meeting Monday for several hours with his Turkish counterpart in Russia. Putin adding that Russia is ready to send 1 million tons of grain to African countries with help from Turkey and Qatar. Still, Turkey's leader expressed hope a breakthrough could come soon. Russia in July refused to extend the deal that is seen as vital for global food supplies. Meanwhile, Russia launched another attack on Ukraine's Odessa region, targeting civilian infrastructure. Ukraine's southern defense shared these photos of the aftermath. They say several fires broke out due to the impact of the debris. Warehouses, industrial buildings, and agriculture equipment were damaged. No casualties or injuries were reported. The situation at the Panama Canal continues to worsen. Now the local authority is auctioning off passage to the highest bidder. The Panama Canal Authority now holding auctions for ships waiting to pass. Drought and low water levels are causing traffic to back up on both sides of the canal. Since July, just 32 vessels a day have been allowed through the locks. That's down from a normal day of 36, but the reduction is causing a growing backlog. Now, according to one report, a shipping company paid $2.4 million at auction just to gain passage. The Canal Authority says the restrictions may last another 10 months, and it says right now there are just over 100 ships waiting to pass through. Delays at the canal could impact grain exports from the U.S. to Asia as harvest begins to ramp up here at home. Also overseas, France is dealing with a surplus of wine, 80 million gallons of it, and now they're paying millions of dollars to destroy it. The Washington Post reporting it will cost France a whopping $216 million. Now, the process involves distilling wine into pure alcohol and using that alcohol for other products like cleaning supplies and perfume. It's reported that it's getting more costly to produce wine, and the French are consuming less of it than in years past. The result is that some winemakers have a surplus and can't charge enough for it to turn a profit. France's ag minister says the goal is to prevent a price collapse and give wine producers sources of revenue again. One thing China won't be importing for a while, it seems, Japanese seafood. And Japan is having to give more financial support to its fishing industry after China banned Japanese seafood in the country following the release of treated radioactive wastewater into the Pacific, as Ivan Watson reports.
Backlash in China over Japan's decision to release treated nuclear wastewater from the Fukushima power plant into the Pacific Ocean. The Chinese government banning all Japanese seafood imports to prevent the risk of radioactive contamination and to protect the health of Chinese consumers. Fears over Fukushima prompting panic buying of salt in several cities, until authorities reassured the public China consumes mined salt more than sea salt. Ripple effects also felt here at a Japanese food court in Beijing.
I told my daughter that we should go and eat some seafood now while it's still safe, and let's not eat it anymore afterwards. Nothing from the ocean is edible from now on.
Fears echoed by her daughter.
Of course, first seafood will be affected, but other crops and food will also be affected later on. It's only a matter of time.
The nuclear controversy potentially crippling business for this sushi chef. Some customers are disgusted by this news. They no longer want to eat Japanese food, he says. His once busy restaurant now largely empty. After the pandemic, our business this year has not recovered yet. And now with this news from Japan, our business is worse, he says. Some scientists argue these fears are unfounded. The International Atomic Energy Agency says Japan's plan to release wastewater is in line with IAEA standards.
Our cooperation and our presence will help build confidence in Japan and beyond that the water disposal is carried out without an adverse impact on human health and the environment.
And yet the heavily censored Chinese internet still bubbles with anger at Japan, including prank calls harassing Japanese businesses. This group of young people are purportedly calling random numbers in Japan. Why do you release nuclear wastewater into the ocean? This young man shouts. Elsewhere, a Chinese restaurant owner makes a show of tearing down Japanese decorations at his Japanese restaurant. The Chinese government is tolerating these displays of anger at Japan, tacitly encouraging nationalist fervor. even if it results in empty restaurants at a time when China is increasingly suffering from economic uncertainty. Ivan Watson, CNN, Hong Kong.
What would it take to get corn back above $5 and soybeans above $14? We'll discuss it coming up next. And later, competitive eating isn't for the faint of stomach. We'll meet the newest chicken wing champion, and no, his name isn't Chestnut. Details in the country.
AgDay is brought to you by EndZone from Farm Shop MFG. Rehydrate your soybeans from 10 to 13%. On a 20,000 bushel bin, that's a free semi-load added to your bottom line. What are you waiting for? Call to order your EndZone today.
West Coast dock workers have ratified a new contract agreement. A temporary contract agreement was reached in June with the Pacific Maritime Association. Now, it's reported union members voted 75% in favor of a new 6-year agreement. The unions represent almost 23,000 West Coast dock workers, including those at the nation's busiest port, Los Angeles Long Beach. The U.S. Meat Export Federation calling the agreement really good news for meat exports because it will bring stability to West Coast ports, eliminating concerns about potential work stoppages. The contract will be in place until July 1st of 2028. Corn seeing some gains on Tuesday, but what will it take to get December corn back above $5? And what about November beans over $14? AgDay's Michelle Rook talks that through with Dwayne Bussey in Markets Now.
Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook along with Dwayne Bussey with Bolt Marketing. And Dwayne, let's talk about the soybean market. We've tried to get above the $14, been tough to stay above it. What's it going to take there?
Yeah, we had a nice rally off of the Pro Farmer Crop Tour results, finding a little bit lower yield than anticipated. That got us above 14 in a hot, dry forecast, and you feel like we can keep going right. But no, the market kind of ran out of that bullish news. And I think to keep going above 14, we need confirmation that this U.S. crop is getting smaller, not just producers saying it's happening. I think we need USDA to come out and print a lower number, and then that ending stock would probably shrink. And that would get us to go a little bit more above this $14 mark.
So does it have to be sub 50, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it does have to be sub 50 because USDA is pretty good at changing that residual side of the demand ledger to keep it above 200 for an ending stock. So I think you got to get that yield below 50 and maybe see this export demand continue to stay strong because we are starting way behind the normal pace. So we got to see those same daily sales announcements. We got to see the big weekly sales continuing. And remember, as tight as the ending stock may look for the new crop balance sheet, you're not going to run out of supplies at harvest, right? So the seasonal tendency for the market to go down and make a harvest low for the price is pretty strong and something to be aware of. That's why it's so hard to stay above $14 this time of year.
And what's it going to take to get corn back above $5?
I really don't know. That's really sad and bearish of me, but let me try to explain. When it comes to the corn market, we could talk supply and say that the yield is dropping. This hot forecast is causing lower test weights and lower bushels. The problem with that is any production decreases you see USDA make, I think they're going to go on the other side of the ledger and just cut demand the exact same. You've got some guys in the industry, and I'm pretty close to one of them saying that demand could be cut as much as 700 million bushels off this. High prices ration demand, and that's what we've had the last 3 years. So any cuts on the production side will get offset. So to answer your question, I don't see a way we get back above $5 until we make harvest lows and find some more demand.
Thanks for joining us. As always, Dwayne Bussey with Bolt Marketing. That's Markets Now, and we'll have more AgDay coming up.
For marketing advice, call Bolt Marketing, a futures and options brokerage firm.
AgDay is brought to you by Firestone Ag. Save instantly when you buy 2 or more eligible Firestone Ag tires during the Go Harvest Rewards promotion. Visit firestoneag.com or contact your local certified Firestone Ag dealer.
Go ahead and start off with the Drought Monitor. Now, temperatures are still going to be very hot in and across Texas, where we still have an extreme to exceptional drought extending back over here into Louisiana as well. Not much talk about any kind of moisture in the Gulf of Mexico or even tropical systems coming in and across Texas or Louisiana anytime soon. There is a tropical system deep in the Atlantic that we're going to be following all week long. We take this map back up here towards Wisconsin, Minnesota, still some pockets of some extreme drought. And then of course, bit of an accent on that one, of course, into the Northwest. Now you got portions of Seattle, into Washington, and back into Montana, where we have a severe, if not extreme, drought continuing to stay in place. So we flip this over, look at the precipitation outlook between September 10th and September 14th. Some help back into Texas, but not the area that we really need it, which is going to be back down here into Houston, even into New Orleans. We stay dry into Oregon, Portland, as well as Seattle and Washington, with the chance of some wetter than normal conditions showing up along the East Coast. Now, this does not have anything to do with the tropical system in the Atlantic, but it is worth noting that there's going to be some rain on the way. That rain that we're expecting is going to come from a trough in the jet stream. So we look at what's going on with the jet stream into our Thursday and Friday. While there is a ridge of high pressure back into Texas, it's not extending all the way to the East Coast. So we'll sneak in a little bit of energy and some cooler air within the jet stream as we go into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. This feature is going to become a little bit more dominant, keeping the ridge and the dry air back out here towards the west. So you see this big U here. Well, that's going to have a reinforcing shot of some cooler air by next Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday as these cooler temperatures sink in across the United States. Taking me up to Maine, Bar Harbor, sunny, high around 83 degrees, low of 61 degrees. That's no accident. Maryland, high around 85 degrees, low of 66 degrees. How about Warsaw, Poland? No. Warsaw, Missouri. Sunny, high around 82 degrees, low temperature right around 58 degrees.
Feed costs are still really high. We'll talk about some alternatives for pig producers coming up next. And later, feed your face some chicken wings. This guy did, and walked away with some prize money and bragging rights in the country. As feed costs rise for pork producers, many are looking for alternatives, and PorkBusiness.com reports there are several to consider. Now, experts say you should consider factors such as nutrient composition, digestibility, anti-nutritional factors, and availability when looking at alternatives. One may be field peas. They're a great source of essential amino acids. However, you have to develop a ration with it that meets the protein requirements for pigs. There's also canola meal, a byproduct of the oil extraction process from canola seeds. It's a good source of protein and contains 2 key essential amino acids for pigs. There are also sunflower and sesame meal. Sesame meal has a high protein content. There's also alternative fat sources for swine diets. To learn more and see a chart with a breakdown for alternative protein and fat sources, check out the story on PorkBusiness.com. U.S. Customs agents are continuing to work to keep illegal pork out of the country. Now, they recently reported at Washington's Dulles Airport finding 77 dry seahorses, 50 small boxes of herbal medicine, 5 dead snakes, 5 jars of snail ointment, and illegal pork products. The items were found in 2 different travelers' bags several days apart. However, it was noted both passengers arrived from Vietnam. U.S. officials say it's not uncommon for travelers arriving from different countries to return to the U.S. with traditional food products which may be prohibited as a potential threat to animals or plants. Officials say there are potential civil penalties, but travelers are generally not arrested for ag violations. Now, I've never been fined for eating too many chicken wings, and neither did this guy. Just how many did he put down in a dozen minutes? The number will shock you. In fact, it shocked him. Details next.
Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.
Did you eat a lot of chicken wings over the holiday weekend? Well, you probably didn't eat as many over the entire summer as this guy did in one sitting. The U.S. Chicken Wing Eating Championship was held in Orchard Park, New York, and it was full of finger-licking excitement to the finish, with the number 5 ranked eater in the world shocking the competition to take home the top prize. James Webb of Australia worked his way through, get this, 276 wings in just 12 minutes. He even beat out hot dog eating king Joey Chestnut, and that shocked him too.
If you told me this yesterday, I would have laughed in your face. I'm so shocked right now. I'm just grateful.
Now, Chestnut came in second place, 36 wings behind Webb. Chestnut said he felt he could have eaten a lot of wings, but didn't clean all of the meat off the bone well enough. And now I don't want chicken wings. That's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.